Welcome back. So we left off talking about that far too shallow building envelope, which only left us with 26 feet from front to back, and that just did not leave us with far too many options for designing a house that was going to work for our family. So at this point, it was time to go down to the county offices and talk with the planning and zoning department to, first of all, verify that we did in fact interpret the rules and regulations around zoning and setbacks accurately. And if we did interpret them the right way, see what options we might have and to find out if this is a property that could somehow work out for us. So we drive down to the offices and the guys there go online into their archives and they pull up the plat and found this very interesting piece of history. It just so turned out that this particular lot is the very first lot ever recorded in the very first subdivision ever recorded in the whole entire county. Now take a minute to think about that. The very first lot in the very first subdivision ever recorded. So this was back in the late 1950s, and over the past 60 years, so much development and growth has occurred. There are now so many subdivisions, so many amenities, making this a very, very desirable place to live. And this lot just so happened to be the very first one in the first subdivision ever recorded. So we thought that was some pretty cool karma going on. However, they're looking more closely at the plat and just kind of shaking their heads, and they're like, "Yeah, this is really irregular. You've got some challenges. You've got your work cut out for you in trying to come up with something that's going to work." And they just kept saying irregular, irregular over and over. And I'm like, exactly. It's so irregular. Of course, there's no reason you couldn't just grandfather this with the old setbacks, and we can build where they used to be able to build, right? Because it's so irregular. Like, yeah. Good try, but it's certainly not going to work that way by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, we were a little bit discouraged to say the very least. However, they were able to tune us into something we were not aware of that kind of turned everything around for the better. And here's how that works out. So here's that plat map again. And today I have a yellow Crayola, really fancy tools, only the best. So if you remember, here's the street, here's our property. Everything in this yellow, okay? And let's see, here's a purple marker. These are actually the old setbacks. This side of the setback used to be somewhere in, it's either 30 to 35 feet. And over here, this was 50 feet on this side. So now the new setbacks are 50 all the way around. Since this is all considered the front, it all faces the road. So we have 50 feet here, 50 feet here. And the existing house sits kind of like this on a diagonal. And the existing driveway is right about there. So that, as you remember, is the front of the property. That's considered the back. And these are the sides. Now what they happen to tell us is that these setbacks are actually measured from what they call the point of vehicular access. And it turns out the point of vehicular access is just a fancy term for driveway. So if we wanted to get all kinds of crazy and clever and move that point of vehicular access or the driveway, we might be able to look at the setbacks a different way. So check this out. If we came over here and demoed that existing driveway, okay, and built a new driveway over here, all of a sudden, this is considered the front of the property, so we still have that 50-foot setback, that hasn't changed, but this all the way over here is the back of the property now, instead of this, like it previously was. So we have 50 feet in the front, a 30-foot setback in the back. Of course, we still have this 50 over here. Even though it's the side, it's still considered the front, so we have 50. But here's where it gets really great. Now this becomes the side of the property over here, which only has a 10-foot setback. So voila, check this out. Now we have a huge building envelope. We have here almost 120 feet from front to back and 46 feet from side to side. So crisis averted. Now, if we're just willing to move the driveway over here, we have a huge building envelope, which can more than accommodate a great footprint for an awesome house for our family. So things are definitely moving in the right direction. Come back next time to find out what happens next. And in the meantime, I hope you have a fantastic day. See you soon.